It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10. Our top story. Tens of thousands of Palestinians return to what's left of their homes in northern Gaza as the scale of the destruction is revealed. Donald Trump's special envoy addresses the crowds in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv as Israelis prepare to welcome home the hostages from Gaza.
We stand here tonight, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and people from every corner of the world, united by one shared prayer for peace.
Former Lost Prophets singer Ian Watkins, jailed for child sex offences, is killed in an attack in prison. Officials say they found no survivors from the explosion at a munitions factory in Tennessee. Also tonight, US media say the Oscar-winning actress Diane Keaton has died at the age of 79.
And you know something else? You know, you're so egocentric that if I miss my therapy, you can only think of it in terms of how it affects you.
And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30. Good evening. Tens of thousands of people have returned to northern Gaza to see what remains of their homes after the Israeli military's withdrawal. With the ceasefire holding, residents have returned to Gaza City and the scale of the destruction has been revealed. In Israel, the families of the remaining hostages face an agonising wait. They're due to be released by 10 a.m. UK time on Monday. And while the ceasefire and hostage exchange would be major accomplishments, they are just the first steps on a long road to a lasting peace. Our Middle East correspondent Adam Parsons reports.
These are the visions of an apocalyptic fever dream, of towns reduced to rubble. But this is real life in Gaza today. A patchwork of grey, rubble, dust and destruction. The homes are uninhabitable, the devastation almost unimaginable. 67,000 people have been killed in Gaza during this war by a military wrecking ball that was swinging for most of the past 2 years. On the ground, the Gazans are returning to their homes, fearful of what they will discover. Optimism has been bombed from this land. Firas went back to her home in Khan Yunis this morning, or at least the place where it once stood. All she has are the memories of a past life and fresh photos of rubble.
This morning we returned to our land to see our homes and neighbourhoods again, but there was nothing left. No houses, no streets, no trees. Everything had been bulldozed, the entire area completely destroyed.
Some can't even get to their properties. There are still Israeli troops near Emad's house and he's too nervous to go there.
When I came back to my area, I found out that there is a lot of shots and bombs around us. The Israeli army is still shooting the people in the area.
This man trekked home to find nothing but a bomb site, but he is defiant.
I'm glad we survived. Now we can go back, even if it means we have to eat sand.
Aid agencies say they are desperate to bring in more food and humanitarian supplies and have pleaded for border crossings to be opened.
UNICEF has 1,300 trucks positioned outside of the Gaza Strip with more on the way, and that's the beginning of being able to respond to the needs of children. But in order to get that aid in, to see that scale up that's so desperately needed, we need all available crossings into the Gaza Strip to open.
The bulldozers have already moved in, clearing roads and debris. This blighted place will take years to rebuild. And as for the people who've lived through this misery, who knows what will be the legacy of the scars they have suffered. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Jerusalem.
Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff has greeted crowds in Tel Aviv as Israel prepares to welcome home the hostages from Gaza, telling them he has dreamed of this night. He was speaking alongside the president's daughter, Ivanka, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who worked on delivering the ceasefire plan that is now in effect. Mr. Trump will travel to the region tomorrow night before addressing the Israeli parliament on Monday and hosting a peace summit in Egypt. Here's what Mr. Witkoff had to say in Hostages Square.
To President Donald J. Trump, a man who is a humanitarian through and through, with the indomitable spirit, who once again proved that bold leadership and moral clarity can reshape history and change the world. We all owe a debt of deep gratitude to President Trump. In the worst of times, he refused to accept the idea that peace in the Mideast was out of reach. He brought together nations once divided by generations of conflict and showed us that shared peace is stronger than shared pain. History will remember that when others doubted, President Trump believed. He is the greatest president in American history, and we're here because of him.
Our International Affairs Editor, Dominic Waghorn, joins me now live from Jerusalem. And Dominic, a very emotional eve for those preparing to receive hostages back.
Yes, and I think, you know, as we know, and we've watched for 2 years, obviously on both sides of this terrible conflict, it has been a horrendous time of anguish and suffering for everyone involved and far beyond Israel and Gaza. For Israelis, it's hard to overstate, I think, the sense of torment and trauma caused by the abduction of those 251 hostages whose memories and whose plight has been, well, kept alive by all those people in Hostage Square ever since they were taken. This is a country that prides itself on observing the principle of no one left behind, and they regard that as a sacred principle. So they are now waiting for what remains of the hostages, 20 alive and 28, to be returned, hoping to honour that principle. We went to a hospital outside Tel Aviv, where they have looked after and treated some of the hostages who have been released in previous releases. And they've almost kind of reinvented what they call hostage medicine. And they are now preparing to receive their next, and they hope, final group of patients.
And usually the helicopter comes from that side, so you don't see it, but you stand here and everyone, you know, waiting for the helicopter to come.
At a hospital in Tel Aviv, they are waiting anxiously for the final end of Israel's hostage ordeal.
I'm thinking in myself, wow, what they've been through in those 2 years and what they had to go through in order to get to this moment. How many moments of desperation, how many moments of anger and fear and everything. And here it happens. The happy end is happening. He's coming home. And no matter what, we will help them.
They've helped pioneer treating the hostages here after previous releases and are now waiting with 2 other units for the last to come home. An entire ward has been put aside, staff on standby for 2 years. Flown here by helicopter, the freed hostages will be greeted by family and staff.
You can't resist what you feel in this moment when you see this pure relief, joy, catharsis, no matter, there's no words to describe this moment, but it's happened here. A typical room of an hostage.
The hostages will be given their own rooms, privacy and time to recover at their own speed.
Each one of them have a different rhythm in ordering to really to reborn again. They are reborning.
Malnutrition will be one of the biggest risks.
It is very important to give them food slowly. Otherwise, the body should react in a syndrome that could cause them to die. So we have to be very careful because we know nutrition problems are main problems because of the long starvation.
The plight of the hostages has tormented an entire nation for more than 2 years, not least for the doctors treating them. It has been hugely emotional for them, they say, but they're grateful to have done so.
What are you thankful for most of all?
I think being part of a small step. Just a second, I need yeah. being part of, I mean, even a small step of making them feel hugged again.
You'll be looking after them for years to come.
Yeah, but that's something I'm happy for, because I'm sure we have the tools to make them, you know, to have them rehabilitated step by step and with their families, which is a very strong companion for us in this road.
The coming hours will be agonising, then a long, long road to recovery for the hostages when they're freed. But the beginning of the end, they hope here, is in sight. Dominic Waghorn, Sky News, Tel Aviv.
And they do believe it's in sight, because I think it's fair to say most Israelis do think the hostages are now coming home. They don't believe Hamas will dare alienate an American president, and they believe that Hamas is under enormous pressure to release the hostages. And then aid can go in the kind of quantities needed to feed the Gazans who are trying to return to their homes and give them some kind of makeshift shelters to live in, and then the Israelis will pull further back. In a sense, though, what is going to happen over the next few days will be obviously hugely emotional. It will be crucial to set the region back on a path towards some kind of normality. But in a sense, that's going to be the easy bit, because the next stage in this process has not really been signed up to yet. It still has to be negotiated and decided at places like Sharm, when world leaders will be convening and joining Donald Trump next week after he flies through Israel. And the two questions that they need to answer are, how is security going to be guaranteed in Gaza? We've heard talk of a peacekeeping multinational force involving troops from as far afield as Indonesia and France and other countries. But is that going to come together? And will it be able to keep the peace? Because if it doesn't, chaos and factionalism will return to Gaza. And that also gives rise to the other needs, is, you know, to answer who will actually govern the place. You know, Hamas have already talked about rejecting the idea of foreigners governing the Palestinians. So talk of Donald Trump leading some kind of organisation, authority, even possibly Tony Blair involved as well. That looks in doubt. But without some kind of credible alternative to the kind of rule that Hamas has imposed on its people in Gaza for the last 18 years, there can be no alternative path for Gaza. And the danger is Hamas returns to becoming a dominant force, something Israel won't tolerate. And there is a danger of this all going back to square one, back to the days before October the 7th. So a huge amount at stake. I mean, great sense of the possibility, however slim, of a new future, a new opportunity for the region. But the international community, under Donald Trump's stewardship and his allies across the region and further afield, have a huge amount to do now to try and follow through on the initial promise of this deal.
Yes, a lot still to be worked out. Dominic, thank you. Singer Ian Watkins, who was jailed for child sex offences, has been killed in an attack in prison. The former Lost Prophet singer, who was convicted in 2013, was attacked in Wakefield prison this morning. My correspondent Alice Porter joins me now. And Alice, what more do we know about exactly what happened?
Well, we understand that Ian Watkins was attacked with a knife, and it's not the first time that he's been attacked whilst he was in prison. He was also attacked back in 2023, and convicted paedophiles are particularly vulnerable to being assaulted whilst they're in prison. But actual murders, like we've seen today, are actually very rare. Now, we have a statement from West Yorkshire Police, who say that at 9:39 a.m. this morning, police were called by staff at H&P Wakefield reporting an assault on a prisoner. Emergency services attended, and the man was pronounced dead at the scene a short time later. Detectives from the homicide and major inquiry team are investigating, and inquiries remain ongoing at the scene. Now, we understand that the prison went into lockdown, really, in the immediate aftermath of this attack. But in 2013, the Lost Prophet singer was sentenced for a string of offences against children, 13 offences, including attempted rape of a baby. Now, so he certainly would have been a high-profile prisoner, partly because of his fame, that he was the lead singer of a very successful Welsh band, Lost Prophets, but also because of the horrific nature of his crimes would have certainly made him a target for many people who were in the prison. And this attack that happened today comes just 2 weeks after a very damning report from His Majesty's Chief Inspector for Prisons. Their inspectors had come to Wakefield Prison and said that there'd been a 62% rise in violent incidents and a 72% increase in serious assaults since their last inspection. So it certainly gives an indication, really, there of the culture at the prison at the moment, and certainly someone like Ian Watkins, because of his track record when it comes to abusing children, would certainly have made him quite a target. And clearly such was the case that he was fatally stabbed this morning.
Alice, thank you. Officials in Tennessee say they've recovered no survivors after an explosion at a military munitions plant. 18 people are presumed dead, and officials say they're moving into the recovery phase. The factory, around 60 miles from Nashville, was destroyed in the blast, with debris scattered across a half-square mile. The cause of the explosion is still unknown.
I can tell you that more than 300 people have been through almost every square inch of this facility, and at this time we've recovered no survivors.
Sure. Does that mean you're holding out any hope for survivors?
Ma'am, I never want to give up hope. Hope's always in my heart, but I don't want to give false hope either. It's not like working a accident. It's not like working a tornado. We're dealing with explosions, and I would say at this time we're dealing with remains.
Some sad breaking news tonight. The Oscar-winning actress Diane Keaton has died at the age of 79, according to US media. She was known for her roles in films including First Wives Club and The Godfather, and she won a Best Actress Oscar in 1977 for her performance in the Woody Allen romantic comedy Annie Hall.
In the middle, we only missed the titles. They're in Swedish.
You want to get coffee for 2 hours or something?
2 hours? No. I'm going in.
Go ahead. Goodbye.
While we're talking, we could be inside. You know that?
Hey, can we not stand here and argue in front of everybody? Because I get embarrassed.
All right. So what do you want to do?
I don't know now. You want to go to another movie? So let's go see The Sorrow and the Pity.
Diane Keaton, who's died at the age of 79. Well, let's return to the Gaza peace deal now. And despite the ceasefire and the impending release of the hostages, the path to a lasting peace features significant challenges. Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters marched through London today, saying demonstrations will continue while there's uncertainty over Gaza's future. Our correspondent Laura Bundock reports.
The peace deal has paused the fighting, but this campaign continues as thousands marched through central London.
There's been many ceasefires, there have been many talks, but have the Palestinians actually had a say in it? Have the Palestinians ever had a land or a place for themselves to call home? No, they haven't.
It's really promising. Let's hope that this is the start of something. But history tells us it's going to be very difficult.
And it's a business plan, not really a peace plan. It's all about Donald Trump's image, being like, oh, look, I've done something, and he hasn't really done anything.
Free, free! With their chants and flags, protesters pledged to keep pressurising politicians. The ceasefire has brought a cautious relief, but many here unconvinced it'll hold.
Our message is there will not be peace until the Palestinian people are given their right to self-determination, and the rights of the bulk of the Palestinian people, including all of my family, who live in exile, are the descendants of those who were expelled from their homes in 1948.
Earlier, scuffles among the crowds as some counter-protesters broke through, holding their banners. They were quickly taken away. The main counter-protest was much smaller and set back from the street. There are, though, real fears of rising anti-Semitism. The war in the Middle East has deepened divisions closer to home.
Peace might be on the horizon, but protesters here tell me there is still plenty to fight for. They're now focused on securing, they say, the freedom, the future and the rights of Palestinian people.
The ceasefire has begun, but it's done little to ease tensions in the UK. Both sides feeling ever further fragmented. Laura Bundock, Sky News, Central London.
Survivors of the October the 7th attack have expressed fears that growing anti-Semitism in Europe will continue to make their lives more dangerous. Our Europe correspondent has been speaking to the founders of the Nova Music Festival at the opening of a memorial exhibition in Berlin.
When the terrorists came to the festival area,
There were hundreds of them. This moment when we saw them just shooting in the crowd that was running away from them.
It was an attack which killed around 400 people. Ofir Amir survived the Nova Festival massacre in 2023. But in a week where peace finally feels like a possibility, he's remembering those killed on that October day, which sparked the latest conflict.
Everything you will see here is original from the festival from October 7th.
So these are clothes that people left behind. And this is really shocking tables of shoes.
Abandoned items left in a panic. This exhibition, a reminder of a day Ofir nearly didn't survive.
There were 6 terrorists that were waiting for us. When they opened fire, the bullet went through the car door. It went through my right leg into my left leg. I was talking to my wife on the phone. She was at home. She was 9 months pregnant, waiting for me to come home.
Did you think at one point, I'm not going to see that baby, this is it for me?
This was, all I could think about, that I might not come home.
Here my friend was murdered. This is the blood, and I sit here with the fear. You can see the bullet on the door, see? And here.
Co-founder Omri was in the car with Ofir.
This is Alex Luke, my friend from Montreal. He came with Avi, they murdered together.
Several of his friends and family died in the attack.
The husband of Nitzan, you can see the blood.
While he's against a war where thousands of Gazans have died, he's also worried about the growing anti-Semitism since October the 7th.
People are scared, even me. When I go out here in Berlin, I look around myself and I try to not speak in Hebrew, and this is sad. It's not need to be like this.
Authorities across Europe have warned about rising hate and violence against Jewish people. The fatal synagogue attack in Manchester has added to that fear. In Berlin, Leora has noticed growing hostility towards Jews.
After 7th of October, we have a significant change in the situation. And also as a Jewish student, I feel concerned about my safety when I enter my campus. And also when I go to synagogue or to any Jewish events, of course, I also think about my security.
It's hoped the ceasefire will be the beginning of the end of the war in Gaza, but the fears of anti-Semitism remain. This show, a reminder of the dangers of allowing hate to flourish. Siobhan Robbins, Sky News, Berlin.
Some breaking news to bring you now. This is an update on the story that singer Ian Watkins, who was jailed for child sex offences, has been killed in an attack in prison. We now have an update from West Yorkshire Police, who say that 2 men, aged 25 and 43, have been arrested on suspicion of murder after the death of former Lost Prophets frontman Ian Watkins at HMP Wakefield. He was convicted previously in 2013 and was attacked in Wakefield Prison this morning and pronounced dead at the scene. So that update from Yorkshire Police that 2 arrests have been made on suspicion of murder. We'll of course update you on that story should we have further information. The Queen has paid tribute to author Jilly Cooper following her death last Sunday at the age of 88. Camilla was opening this year's Clevedon Literary Festival in Berkshire, where she held a reception for authors, and she spoke about the unique character of Dame Jilly.
She came to a party here a few years ago when I hope she uttered her immortal line, "I'm going to get absolutely plastered tonight, darling. I love you so much, I want to see 2 of you." Dear Ginny, how we'd love to see just one of you here today.
Time now to get all the latest sports news with Rahul.
Staying connected is vital for business. Sky Business sponsors this report.
club made a great pitch to me, that they wanted me. They gave me a 4-year contract. All the stops were out. They made me feel really welcome.
We arrived at the airport there in Madrid, and there were 30, 40, 50 journalists, cameras, and we thought, oh, they come for this movie star, you know. Suddenly we see, Jesus Christ, Jimmy, it's for you.
It's always difficult losing a great player. Jimmy, for me, was always a world-class striker. Probably not talked about as much, I don't think, as to some of the other great strikers, but I was fortunate enough to play with him.
We obviously made a very good profit on him. If you just take the business transaction, not the football emotion, the transaction was a good deal because we bought him for 2 and we sold him for £12 million.
In 2 years, got 6 times their money. I was not a big earner at the time at the club. So for them, it was a big gain.
He's settling into his new surrounds, the player renamed Judas Floyd Money in the Bank when he was drummed out of Ellen Road. But stories of excessive demands were fictional, according to Atletico's new signing.
I was supposed to stay there. I was supposed to sign a new contract and feel happy. If they can ask 12 million for a player, the rest is all clear.
Were you asking to be the most highly paid player in the Premiership, as we're led to believe?
No, don't believe the figures at all. Don't believe the figures at all.
You didn't want £40,000 a week? Would have been nice, but is that what you were demanding?
That's not what I asked.
Reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly, if that wasn't about money, I don't know, then maybe I'm getting it wrong when he set me there. A lot of you have written good articles about it. And all I'd like to say is that I've seen quotes of 45,000. I think you're being modest to Jimmy on that one, honestly. I wouldn't like to say, but I think you'd be disappointed if you're only saying that, honestly.
Did you feel you had to speak out publicly for the club?
Yes, you have, because we didn't want to sell a top player. I had one of the best number 9s that you could wish to have. It puts me under pressure then. I've got to go out and buy and put your head on the block to buy a number 9. Did we sell a bad player? No, we sold the top player.
It did disappoint me. How everything went, it made me look bad in front of the fans. It was not necessary. The perception that people have of me, the difficult person, blah, 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 that is never there. I would have tried to find a solution.
What we didn't do is say it was a difficult character. I think we alluded to.
Sky Business sponsors this report.
Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at Sunday's newspapers in the press preview. When we come back, I'll be joined by journalist and author Christina Patterson and broadcaster and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford. Amongst the stories, we'll be discussing this on the front of The Observer as Gazans begin to return to their devastated homes after the ceasefire. Their headline, The Burden of Hope. We'll be right back.